All right, thank you so much. Here, the program still this morning on ITV on independent television. Now, with the 2024 appropriation bill signed into law just about a few days ago by the president, special attention is on the 1.2 trillion increase that members of the National Assembly have increased the budget with. Now, that is a good one on one hand because that increase also spill into other sectors of the budget. But attention is particularly drawn on the increments of allocation of National Assembly allowances. We're going to be looking at all that as we'll discuss the program on. Now, we understand that before now, the budget was pegged at 27.5 trillion naira. But because of the 1.2 trillion naira increase, the budget now stands at 28.77 trillion naira. And also, too, before now, the National Assembly allocation budget was 197.93 billion naira. But because of the increment now, their own allocation, the National Assembly members' allocation now stands at 344.85 billion naira. And that is so much eliciting reactions and counter-reactions already. Well, good one, that just like what I said a while ago, that the increment is on various sectors. For example, we understand that there's the one that has to do with the parliamentary statutory transfers, which is the funding of the NJC. Then, of course, the Niger Debt Development Commission, fund is also increased. The UBA, that's the Universal Basic Education Commission, fund is also increased. Then the National Assembly Public Complaints Commission fund is also increased. Then the Independent National Electoral Commission fund is also increased. The National Human Rights Commission fund is also increased. And the Northeast Development Commission Basic Health Care Fund is also increased. Then the Provision Fund and National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure is also increased. So all these various sectors, the increments of all these various sectors have cost that total of 1.2 trillion naira. Now, we are so privileged to have Money Mike Modesi Itua this morning, a Labour devotee, a public affairs analyst, and of course a Nigerian that is also concerned about the budget. So, welcome to the program this morning.
Good morning, Evans.
Happy New Year.
Same to
It's
you.
been quite some time.
Good morning, viewers, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Okay.
To God be the glory that we are here.
Yeah, well, thank God.
Yeah.
All right. So, make us to understand this morning. What do you think these increments on the budget, how does it strike you?
Well, I think there are fundamentals that we need to establish here. Maybe you want us to be particular about the National Assembly. Generally, we have to extract the budget itself.
Yeah.
Budget, by my definition, is a proposal containing income and expenditure. Then the ability to generate the income that will take care of the expenditures remains a Herculean task as far as the Federal Republic of Nigeria is concerned.
As it is now.
As it has always been. There has always been humongous budget deficits annually. And unfortunately, we are not good at budget tracking. The president has just signed into law the 2024 budget of the Federation. By the end of 31st of this same year, we will not be told the extent to which the budget have been implemented. We will not be told how they have reviewed the budget to see whether they have been able to attain at least a remarkable percentage of implementation. You are talking about just allocating figures. I'm using that expression, just allocating figures, whether discriminately or indiscriminately. But what is germane that we need to know is that these figures that have been ascribed to different item heads, are they really dispersed off? Who tells us the story? Nobody talks about it. You will hear so amount of money has been voted for social agency of government or ministry. Nobody cares to know out of this money that has been voted, the percentage for recurrent and capital. How far did they go with it? If there are capital projects, for instance, for the Ministry of Education, by the month of July, August, we should start to be told how far they have gone. But one thing I have just seen, judging by what I read not too long ago, is the fact that we are now told that there's going to be monthly returns on budget implementation to be verified and certified by the office of the budget, by the budget office, by the Ministry of Budget. How they are able to do that may be determined by the political will of that office and all political appointees vis-a-vis the technocrats, the civil servants. Because the civil servants are the core people who are involved in budget implementation.
Yeah, budget planning too.
So let us wait and see. I don't want to sound like a prophet of doom, but that particular innovation to me is something I'm watching out for.
Okay.
Because that's a way of tracking to know whether they are going according to the expectation as provided in the budget.
Okay. Now, before we go further, there seems to be a great problem now because before now, we understand, we also read that about 98% of, our annual income is used for debt servicing. And here we are making a budget of 28-point-something trillion naira for the year 2024. If we have 98% of our, annual income as, budget as debt servicing, so it means we are going to keep on borrowing even in the year 2024.
Well, by what I have also seen in this year's budget, I'm not sure the provision there is up to 90%. It's not up to. I'm not sure the provision I saw there is up to 50%. I may be wrong. What I've seen is not up to 50% of the total budget. I may be wrong, and I need to be quoted wrongly. But let us establish the fact that borrowing is a worldwide thing. Borrowing is a worldwide thing. Every government across the world borrows.
So what do you think is...
But the issue is, when you borrow, those particular issues you want to deal with, infrastructure and all others, are you dealing with them with the funds? Or you borrow and such funds are misappropriated or channeled to other means? This is where all of us will be very useful. Apart from this organization we call budget, it's an organization we call budget that helps in tracking budgets of federal and state governments. I have really not been used to any other organization or body of persons coming together to tell us how the budget is performing and how it's being tracked here and there. If you borrow, for instance, to establish a dual carriageway, we must be sure that there is value for our money. If the dual carriageway by international standard is expected to cost us 5 billion naira, let us be sure that the budgetary provision of 5.2 will have to cater for any exigency or items that were not captured that may arise. That fund is made available and utilized for the purpose of that dual carriageway to the best of standards. Underline best of standards. So if, for instance, you are voting such a huge amount of money for a 15-20 kilometer highway, maybe let's say in our riverine communities, so to speak, because the cost of construction of roads in our riverine community, like in the Niger Delta and others, cannot be the same equated to when you have the dry land construction, when you construct on dry lands. So the money must be made available for the purpose for which it is made, and quality service must be delivered. But unfortunately, the stories and tales we hear is such monies are voted, they are released, so to speak, and they are not used to expectations.
Now, we don't see commensurate development.
It's not, yes. Yeah. So until we are able to know exactly, establish that transparent governance, institutional transparency, we will continue to rigmarole. That is what the problem is. It's not just ascribing the figures. When are the funds released, as are when expected?
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about that because I think it's the first time that we're seeing the innovation of the monthly returns on the budget, just like what you said a while ago. And I want to say kudos to the federal government because it has never happened in the history of budget performance and all that in Nigeria. So with this 2024 budget, we're going to be seeing a situation whereby on a monthly basis, heads of parastatals and all that, they're going to be doing some form of monthly returns on the budget. Now, let's look at the one that I know you don't want to talk about, but Nigerians are not too comfortable with it now. I mean, members of the National Assembly are also making some form of increments on their own allowances. Now, before the increment of the 1.2 trillion naira into the budget, we understand that the National Assembly allocation allowance was about 197.93 billion naira. But as it stands now, they had to get 344.85 billion naira. Now, we're looking at a country, money market modesty, that we expect now that there should be a total cut down on costs. And we have a National Assembly that is increasing their allocation on the budget, money market modesty.
Well, to some persons, it may sound ridiculous, but we need to establish the facts.
What are the facts?
Now, let's go this way, without any prejudice, and on the point of objectivity. Is the National Assembly an institution of government? Yes.
It is.
Does it deserve to be allocated budgetary provision? Yes. Do we agree that we have a very bogus National Assembly? Yes, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Our National Assembly is over-bloated. We have a bicameral legislature. And generally speaking, cost of governance in Nigeria outweighs the benefits that come to the people. You are talking about the National Assembly. What about the executive? Do you know the billions that have been voted for foreign tours? Billions that you will never be told of. A ministry will vote as much as 1.something billion, 2 billion, 3 billion for external travels. And my dear brother, I'm not a shoe shiner. I usually will tell people the truth, the way I see it to be. But that is not to say that I align myself with any dubious means of budget, either budget padding or whatever you may call it. The unfortunate thing here is that during the time of Okonjo Iweala, we used to have budget breakdown, ministry by ministry, department by department, so that we at home, we will even know what is allocated to our legislature from our quarters for what they call, there's this project they do, what do they call it now? Constituency projects.
Constituency projects.
From there, you cannot ask your legislature, social amount of money was voted for social road, which you have imputed. What is happening to it? But they no longer do any of this. The National Assembly we are talking about now, we need to know what is the breakdown of the budget of the National Assembly. So broken down in a way that even the ordinary person will see and will be able to make a statement about it. But we don't see. Now, even the executive, I am telling you, you are talking about the legislature. Leave the legislature alone. There are a lot of things that happen within the executive. The only arm of government that is suffering it is the judiciary.
Now, the reason why Nigerians are so concerned about the legislature now is that when the budget got to when the budget came from the president, it was not as high it is now. But when it was going back, a total 1.2 trillion was...
Evans.
So the first time...
There are many things that happen underneath that Nigerians are not told, that are never brought to the foreknowledge of Nigerians, that you don't see on the screens of televisions, that you don't read in the newspapers. Politics plays a greater part in all of this. Has Mr. President not signed it?
It's been signed into...
Are you sure that the legislature may not have liaised with the executive, telling the executive, for reason A, B, C, D, we want this to be done, and the executive must have concurred with the legislature?
So to say, okay,
to say go ahead.
You scratch my back, I scratch.
Really, I'm not saying so. I'm not saying so. There may be cogent reasons for the increases. There may be cogent reasons. But like I said, that transparency is the issue in this country. People are not transparent. Put these cards out. Let everybody see it. By the time we see, we should be able to make up our mind to say, oh, this is worth doing. But mind you, the national legislature gets its own funding from the consolidated as first line charge. The legislature from the states, do they do that? Do they get it? No. Now, Evans, let me also inform you. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was a member of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
The wife was a member of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
The secretary to the government of federation, a member of the National Assembly. The chief of staff to Mr. President, a former member of the National Assembly.
So that's the reason why the increment just went through.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
I'm only trying to let you know that being former members of the National Assembly, who are now in the executive, they may also understand the peculiar challenges confronting the legislature.
Yeah. The allowances and all that.
I am not saying the allowances.
Were
the issue of allowances.
The increment.
The issue of allowances.
Yeah.
For me, if all things are equal, there is nothing wrong about increasing allowances. Because if they say allowances were last increased maybe about 13 years ago, but I say if all things were equal.
Yeah.
What's the national minimum wage? 30,000 that cannot buy a bag of rice.
Yes. So as it is,
we should have lost a situation. We should have lost a situation where the members of the National Assembly should have tarried for now to say, let's make our people happy. Thereafter, we can start talking about the perks of our offices.
Yes.
But that is not what we are saying.
Now.
Nonetheless, like I will always say, they have the knife, they have the yam. Every time Nigerians will complain, the National Assembly, most of the times they don't complain about the executive. Unfortunately for us, we are the ones who will always choose those who will go there. And in like manner, most of those who will criticize it, while they are not there yet, by the time they get there,
they will do the same
thing.
Now, give us more insight on
the
monthly budget returns that you talked about, because no doubt Nigerians are hopeful now that if we're going to be having a monthly returns on the budget, it shows that that's going to translate into some form of
we are hopeful if they have the technical know-how.
Yeah.
If the technical know-how is there, and there is a genuine commitment from the civil servants in doing that, it will work. But for the civil servants to show genuine commitment to do the job, they need to be motivated. They need to be happy. So if you yes, there's no motivation in the system. In the service, no motivation. No motivation. And let me tell you, any government that records any progress or retrogresses, the hands of the civil servant will be visible.
Yeah, but we're looking at the situation whereby there's going to be a living wage. The living wage is going to be looked into.
Underline the word living.
Yes, that's the living wage.
Are you expecting a living wage in Nigeria?
So what are you trying to say?
I'm a labor devotee.
I know.
I'm not expecting a living wage in Nigeria. I'm only expecting an increase in the wage.
Okay, it's not going to be living.
It cannot be a living wage. Let me tell you, what is the cost of the dollar, the exchange rate between the dollar and the naira as of today?
100
the fair subsidy. Has it been ameliorated?
Now, Money Mike, if we
the
don't have
35,000 naira monthly award,
Money Mike,
has it been paid?
If we cannot have a living wage in Nigeria, are we ready?
You will not ask me, what do I really mean by a living wage? You can only earn a living wage in Nigeria when government acts responsibly by providing the basic necessities of life. Food insecurity is one of the greatest problems we have in this country today. Go and determine the cost of our food items in the marketplace. Insecurity has contributed in no small measure to the deteriorating of our incomes. All those who used to farm, who used to go to farm, they are no longer going. Even those who even farm plantain farming in our own area here, they are no longer doing it because of insecurity in the forest and everywhere. Benue, people are not going to farm. In the northwest, people are no longer going to farm. In the northeast, people are no longer going to farm. Even within us here, are people still going to farm? They're no longer going to farms because of insecurity. And that insecurity that is inhibiting production of food for us is also causing a very drastic food insecurity. Now, if about 90% of what we consume, both as goods and services, are imported, and the exchange rate plays a vital role Where are you expecting the living wage to come from? You are the one that will provide borehole water for yourself. You are the one that will provide shelter for yourself from the 30,000 minimum wage. You are the one that will contribute to make a road as an earth road to your vicinity. You are the one that will be looking for money to buy a generator, to buy fuel and others to power your house. All those fundamental things government is supposed to provide, none is provided.
All right, so what you are saying...
Not even the list of security.
Okay, so government should perhaps, and maybe
yes,
more devotee, like,
yes,
you should forget the living wage first.
No, what we are saying, I'm not, no, you are using the word living.
Yeah.
We are only expecting salary, to me, salary adjustment.
Yeah, but for me as a salary earner,
yes,
and perhaps for most Nigerians as salary earners, what they are looking at is that their salary takes them home, and at least 25 days of every 31 days of the month, I can still do things I need to do. That's
okay,
what I'm saying.
Evans, yeah, if you ask, I will tell you. For a grade level 1 step 1, should earn 500,000 monthly.
500,000, that would be the living wage.
Grade level 1 step 1 should earn 500,000 if you are talking about living wage. And that 500,000 on the condition of all things, every other factor being equal. How much is a bag of cement?
About 5,000 plus.
The bricklayers and the service, how much do they take now?
5,000.
Do you know the millions of Nigerians that have had as opportunity of acquiring landed plots of land to build, and they cannot even clear now? They can't even venture to clear. Even the cost of even clearing is prohibitive. You saw the celebration of Christmas and New Year.
So we really cannot have a living wage in Nigeria.
There is no living wage in Nigeria for now. We are also be told now that even with the Port Harcourt refinery coming up on stream, with Dangote coming on stream, no matter even when we have 50 new refineries now, Nigeria should not say hallelujah yet, because the cost of petroleum will also be dependent on the foreign exchange upon which they will be selling crude to the refineries. And the only thing we may be enjoying will be maybe cost of transportation, freight that they used to bring from abroad, the cost of bringing them from abroad. That is the only marginal decrease that we may experience.
Now, when labor, because I'm targeting you now, you're targeting
go ahead,
because I
go ahead,
when labor always engaged the government,
yes,
do you engage the government with all this?
These facts are always made bare on the table. They're always made bare on the table. Government knows. But fundamental errors have been made in the past, which are not snowballing to the present situation. And unfortunately, all in the bid to dance to the tune of World Bank and IMF, we have got ourselves so immersed in the mud.
So what do we do?
What do we do?
Yeah.
If only they can decentralize the issue of insecurity, they should allow our locals to take charge of their securities. They should allow access to arms and ammunition.
But
listen, anarchy will not come. Anarchy will not come. If the people who are driving our people from the bush know that our people now go to their farms with sophisticated weapons too, they will abandon the job. Why do you allow some non-state actors to have access, unlimited access to firearms and every other type of thing, terrorizing the entire length and breadth of this nation?
Now, when you say why should you allow it?
No, well, because security.
Be careful with that.
No.
Really
if you, I will repeat it. Why is government allowing?
How do you mean?
I mean it. The borders through which all these things are coming into Nigeria, are they not being manned?
Are you saying that the government is not doing anything at all?
What is the implication? If you are paying people's salaries, the security and all of them, the immigration, all the paramilitary and all of them, to guard our borders, yet the borders seem not to be guarded. And the influx of small and large ammunition and firearms are coming. Even through our seaports, they import these things. The only time you will hear they say they have seized a cargo loaded with firearms, you might be shocked. Maybe when those people did not settle in good time, or maybe a whistleblower has made noise about it.
Yeah.
So we are pretending. We are all pretenders. We are all pretenders.
All right, so that we don't forget the main issue now, let's look at the UB, that's the UB Commission. that has also been increased, the fund for the UB Commission. I know you'll be interested in
Yeah.
that now, because another basic issue in Nigeria is education. Funding of education over the years
has been very poor.
has been very poor, reportedly has been very poor. So, but right now, the 1.2 trillion naira that the budget has been increased with also is going to spread into the Universal Basic Education Commission. That's a good start in the right direction.
What are the items that will be captured?
In the UBA Commission.
Is it recurrent expenditure overtaking capital expenditure? But thanks that they have added something to the UBA.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the national budget for education is 7.8%. 7.8. And if there's not anything, I'm able to take, I think the budget for the National Assembly outweigh the education's budget.
Yeah, it does.
Because we have a homologous National Assembly. If we operate a unicameral system of National Assembly, we will not have such funds.
Yeah.
If we even operate a parliamentary system of governance, cost of governance will reduce. But thanks to them for adding up something to the Universal Basic Education Commission budget.
Yeah.
But we are yet to be told what constitutes the increases. Is a huge part of that increase going to recurrent expenditure, payment of salaries and others. One good thing about the Universal Basic Education Commission is that federal government during Obasanjo made it so very good that states' basic education can be co-funded
Now,
with the federal government. Let me do this.
Yeah.
Counterpart funding. For instance, a state is expected to pay in about 2 billion, and you get 4 billion. Unfortunately, many of our state governments have not been using that window.
I mean, it was on the papers.
They have not been using the window.
29 states.
Yet, our schools are empty of teachers, infrastructurally decayed. So, that is the issue. But they will tell you, for them to have 2 billion, they have to go to a bank and take a facility of 2 billion. It will cost them so much to pay the interest.
Yeah.
But security vote for the executive at the state levels. Do you know how much it goes?
Trillions.
If a city governor decides to forfeit about 2-3 months security votes to enable him to have access to additional 2 billion, is he out of place?
Okay. All right. So
transparency.
Yeah,
is
we
the
may
thing.
have to leave this discussion here this morning. So, Morning Mike Modeste, we want to say, because these issues, we'll keep on talking about them. We just hope and pray that the government will listen and do the needful. So that Nigeria can be a better one. It's a good one to know that the budget has been increased by 1.2 trillion naira, and of course various aspects of the budget that the increment came upon. The UBA Commission fund has also been increased. Money Mike was more of the recurrent expenditure. I know you are more interested in
yes,
because that's where you get your salary.
Yeah, yes,
don't you think
what percentage?
The problem in UBA Commission is more of capital expenditure?
It's more of capital expenditure.
So why will you?
But that is not to say they don't have recurrent expenditure.
Problem.
Their current expenditure is also high. Because you're talking of training and retraining and all
and
that,
salaries and all that.
Yeah. So let them do a further breakdown of the budget, ministry by ministry, department by department, agency, just like that. Commissions, let them break them down, so that we can all track to know what and what is contained in the budget of ministries.
All right, Money Mike, thank you so much for.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you for having me
on our TV on Independent Television.